Girlfriend's secret holiday with her ex. Am I wrong to be upset? I was planning Sarah's birthday surprise, a weekend escape to this fancy spa in the Cotswolds. She was turning 31, and I wanted to make it special. 4 years together, living together for 2, felt like we were building something real. Marriage wasn't a constant topic, but it definitely floated around in my head. I needed her passport to book the spa. We keep important documents in this shared folder on the computer under admin. That's where I usually find stuff like insurance details or appliance manuals. But then I saw it a subfolder labeled Project Renewal. Renewal of what? Our Netflix subscription. I clicked. Inside were a bunch of PDFs, flight confirmations, hotel bookings, a detailed itinerary, all for trip to Ordisai, Italy. A small town nestled in the Dolomites. Beautiful, picturesque, and definitely not Manchester. The dates were for last month, the week Sarah told me she was stuck at some soul-crushing marketing conference. The reservations were under 2 names, Sarah Miller, her last name, and Ethan Davies. Ethan. I vaguely remembered Ethan. Sarah had mentioned him once or twice, always with a slight awkwardness. College ex. Apparently successful now, some kind of tech entrepreneur. My stomach dropped. This wasn't right. This couldn't be right. I shut the laptop, walked into the living room, and found Sarah scrolling through Instagram. Hey, I said, trying to sound casual. How was that conference in Manchester, actually? She looked up, smiled, and launched into this detailed description of a keynote speaker who apparently revolutionized the way brands interact with something. I wasn't even listening. I was watching her mouth move, watching her eyes, trying to catch a flicker of guilt, a hint of a lie. She was good. Too good. Sounds intense, I managed. Learn anything useful? Yes, she said, actually I picked up a few things. We should talk about it later. Maybe implement some of those strategies at work. She leaned in and kissed me. Thanks for asking, babe. I forced a smile back. No problem. Later that evening, I met Mark at our usual pub. Mark is my best friend and a professional cynic. Works as a programmer, sees the worst in everyone. He's also fiercely loyal. So, tell me, he said, after I downed half my pint. What's got you looking like you've seen a ghost? I told him everything. The folder, the flights, the hotel, Ethan. Mark didn't hesitate. She's banging him. Definitely banging him. You know what they say, once a cheater, but Sarah wouldn't, I protested weakly. We're good. We have a good relationship. Mark snorted. Everyone thinks they have a good relationship until they find out their partner's been playing away. Trust me, mate. I've seen it all before. Gather evidence. Gather evidence. Right. Like I was some kind of private investigator. But Mark's words sunk in. That night, I barely slept. The next few days were a blur of anxiety and frantic internet searches. I used one of those online tools to check the hotel booking in Ordisai. Confirmed Sarah Miller and Ethan Davies, checked in, checked out. I scoured Instagram and Facebook, searching for any mentions of Ordisai. I looked for tagged photos, location check-ins, anything that could place Sarah and Ethan in the same place at the same time. I was turning into a paranoid mess. I started subtly questioning Sarah about the conference again, throwing in details I remembered her telling me just to see if she'd slip up. She didn't. She was consistent, her story airtight. But the more she lied, the more convinced I became that Mark was right. I even tried Chloe, Sarah's best friend. I called her under the guise of planning a surprise party for Sarah. Hey Chloe, I said, trying to sound upbeat. Just wanted to get your thoughts on venues. How was Sarah after that conference last month? She seemed exhausted. Chloe sounded genuinely confused. Conference? I thought she was, oh wait, yeah, the marketing thing. She said it was really intense. Why? Just checking, I said, forcing a laugh. She's been a bit stressed lately, that's all. Chloe didn't seem to know anything, or maybe she was just a really good liar. I couldn't tell. Then came the real descent into madness. I had a business trip to Germany scheduled, a conference on sustainable architecture. It was a legitimate trip, but I saw an opportunity. Ordisai wasn't that far from Munich. I booked a flight for a day early, telling my colleagues I wanted to acclimatize. I landed in Munich, rented a car, and drove south. Ordisai was even more beautiful in person. Picture postcard perfect. I drove straight to the hotel where Sarah had stayed. I walked into the lobby trying to look like a potential client. We're looking for a location for a company retreat, I said to the receptionist, a woman with tired eyes and a friendly smile. Something small, intimate. I understand you had some guests here last month, a MS Miller, and I trailed off pretending to check my notes. A Mr. Davies, they mentioned being impressed. The receptionist's eyes lit up. Ah, yes, they were a lovely couple, very appreciative of the scenery. They seemed to really enjoy the hiking trails. Did you happen to see them around much? I asked, trying to sound casual. What was Mr. Davies like? She hesitated. He was very attentive, always making sure a mess. Miller was comfortable. They seemed very happy together. Happy together. Those words echoed in my head. I spent the rest of the day wandering around Ordyside, feeling like a ghost. I went to a local bar, ordered a beer, and showed the bartender a picture of Sarah on my phone. Excuse me, I said, have you seen this woman around? The bartender squinted at the picture. Yeah, I think so. She was here a few weeks ago, with a handsome guy. Seemed like they knew the area well. They came in a couple of times. I finished my beer in silence, the taste turning bitter in my mouth. I flew back to London the next day, a hollow shell of myself. The business trip in Germany was a blur. I couldn't focus. All I could think about was Sarah in that hotel room in that bar with Ethan. I came home late, exhausted and emotionally drained. Sarah was already asleep. I lay in bed next to her, staring at the ceiling, unable to close my eyes. The woman next to me, the woman I thought I knew, was a stranger. The next morning, I confronted her. I laid out all the evidence on the kitchen table. The itineraries, the hotel confirmation, the information I'd gleaned from the receptionist and the bartender. Sarah looked at the documents, her face pale. What is this? She asked, her voice trembling. Don't play dumb, Sarah, I said, my voice low and dangerous. You know exactly what this is. This is your secret holiday with Ethan. This is you lying to my face for weeks. She started to cry. Liam, I can explain. Explain what? I shouted. Explain how you went on a romantic getaway with your ex while telling me you were stuck in some boring conference. Explain how you betrayed me. She tried to deny it at first, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. But when I showed her the hotel confirmation with her name on it, she broke down. Okay, fine. She sobbed. I went to Italy. But it's not what you think. Then what is it, Sarah? I demanded. Tell me. I'm dying to know. She told me that Ethan was going through a difficult divorce and she wanted to be there for him as a friend. She said they needed to reconnect and get closure after years of unresolved feelings. And did you get closure, Sarah? I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Did you finally put those old feelings to rest? Or did you just open up a whole new can of worms? She insisted that nothing physical happened. We just talked, Liam. We spent time together. It was therapeutic. Therapeutic, as if that made it okay. Don't insult my intelligence, Sarah, I said, my anger rising. Do you honestly expect me to believe that you flew across Europe to talk to your ex, in a romantic hotel in the Dolomites? You think I'm that stupid? She started crying harder. I know it looks bad, but please believe me, I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did hurt me, Sarah, I said, my voice breaking. You shattered my trust. I don't even know who you are anymore. She looked at me, her eyes pleading. I'm still me, Liam. I needed to do this. I've been feeling distant from you lately, like we've grown apart. So instead of talking to me about it, you ran off to Italy with your ex, I said, shaking my head in disbelief. That's your solution. That's how you fix things. There was a long silence. Are you still in love with him? I finally asked, the question burning in my throat. She hesitated, just for a moment. But that was enough. I don't know, she whispered. That was it. That was the breaking point. I walked out. I drove to Mark's place, numb. He didn't say I told you so, which I appreciated. He just poured me a glass of whiskey and let me crash on his couch. I went back to the apartment the next day to find Sarah packing. I need space, she said, avoiding my eyes. I need to figure things out. So you're leaving? I asked, my voice flat. I don't know, she said. Maybe I can't be here right now. She left, just like that. 4 years gone. I spent the next few weeks in a daze. I went through the motions at work, but I couldn't concentrate. I barely ate. I lost weight. The apartment felt empty, haunted by memories of Sarah. My parents called, worried. I told them what happened. They were shocked, supportive. They told me to take care of myself, to not make any rash decisions. But what decision was left to make? Time passed. Slow, agonizingly slow. Sarah and I had minimal contact, mostly through text messages about dividing our belongings. I started seeing a therapist. She helped me unpack my emotions, to understand why I was so devastated. She told me that betrayal can trigger a deep sense of loss, a loss of trust, a loss of innocence. I started to realize that the relationship wasn't as perfect as I thought. Maybe I was blinded by love, by the idea of what I wanted it to be. I had my own flaws, my own shortcomings. One evening, I received a text message from Sarah. Can we meet for coffee? I need to talk. I stared at the message for a long time, my heart pounding. What did she want to say? Was she going to apologize? Was she going to tell me she made a mistake? Or was she going to tell me she was leaving me for good? I thought about ignoring the message. I thought about blocking her number. I thought about running away and never looking back. But I knew I couldn't. I needed to know. I needed closure just as much as she did. I texted her back, okay, tomorrow, 2 p.m., the usual place. The next day I stood outside the coffee shop waiting. My hands were shaking. My stomach was churning. I could see Sarah through the window, sitting at a table, looking nervous. I took a deep breath. Could I forgive her? Could I ever trust her again? Could we rebuild what we had lost? I didn't know. I pushed open the door and walked inside.